Hi everyone, I'm Amy Lee Miller, and in this video I want to talk about patterns, deep-rooted patterns we adopt in our lives that are not good for us, and even though we know they're not good for us, we don't change them. And I want to talk about why we don't and how to change them. I think we all know when we're doing something that is not good for us. Why then wouldn't we change it? Is it because it's hard? No, I don't think that's it. It's because we don't know how. And we don't know how because we don't know why we're doing it. I have had a pattern that I had adopted way back, since probably further back than I can remember. The pattern started from an idea that I formed about myself when I was very young. And I remember having this idea about myself since, wait for it, the first day of preschool, that far back. So this idea that I had about myself then formed into this pattern that I adopted and continued. And so by the time I got older and was able to make decisions for myself, this pattern was deeply rooted. Now, I don't mean to be talking in code about what my personal pattern is. I just don't want to share it right now because I don't think that it's necessarily relevant to helping with this video. But looking back, it is kind of comical, so maybe another time in another video I'll share. I'm sure we all know somebody in our lives who, like myself, like I just mentioned, is adopting one of these patterns that's holding back and making them miserable. Maybe they're staying in the same job for years that they hate, but they just keep at it. Maybe they're staying in a relationship that they're unhappy in. Maybe they continue to struggle with their finances and keep making the same budgeting mistakes. When I was younger, I saw a therapist for 10 years. The same therapist, I really liked him, and I know that he genuinely cared about me and my well-being. He identified my pattern. He told me what to do about it, and I think he actually even told me how to do it. Do you think I did it? Hell no. And after a while, after 10 years, I stopped going because nothing had changed. I wasn't better. I kept doing the same thing that was making me miserable. The reason we're unable to make the changes that we need to make in order to break these patterns and stop doing the things that are holding us back and often making us miserable is because we don't understand why we're doing them. Think about that. So here's an example. Think about when parents tell their kids, don't play in the street. When mom and dad are not looking, that kid is going to go play in the street because they don't understand the magnitude of why they shouldn't. Think about a time when someone tried to solve a problem that you have without fully understanding what your problem is. Is that not the most annoying thing, by the way? Here's an example, a simple one, giving directions. This happened to me many times before the days of iPhones and Google Maps. I'd be trying to get somewhere, and someone on the phone was giving me directions. Go east or turn right. But they didn't first stop and ask which direction I was facing. They didn't fully understand the problem in order to present a solution. Solving problems, no matter how big or small, requires a deeper understanding. I was finally able to start making some changes to break this pattern that I had been doing for over 20 years when somebody helped me to understand why I was doing it. We dug deep and we were able to get right to the issue, the painful event that had happened when I was younger, by which I formed these incorrect, painful, and negative belief systems about myself. And then what happens is the pattern is a coping mechanism to try to deal with these painful, triggering events. For me, I worked with a life coach, and she helped me get to it. We were able to get right to it within one session because I'm a pretty open person. Okay, so if I already knew what the issue was and what the triggering event was, why wasn't I able to heal myself? I had to take it a step further. I had to implement tools to help me change my belief system about myself and the way that I felt about myself in this one particular area of my life. There are simple tools and techniques that can help you change the way that you think about yourself. There's a lot of information out there online. I recommend researching staying present. I recommend researching cognitive reframing and neuroplasticity. These are simple tools that can help you change the way you feel about yourself in certain triggering events. So certain things, situations, or events that trigger a certain feeling in you, you can actually change that feeling and prevent it from happening in the future. I'm not going to go deep into it here. I recommend researching these things, again, cognitive reframing, neuroplasticity, and ways to keep yourself present. If you like, message me, and if you want me to do another video going deeper into that, I will. We can actually change the way we feel about ourselves. Think about that. I mean, if we are doing something that we know is bad for our emotional or physical well-being, why would we keep doing that? Why are so many of us continuing to do that? Are we all just nuts? No. We developed a pattern from a negative belief system that stemmed from a triggering event in our lives, an event that triggered a painful emotion. And this pattern is a coping mechanism where, believe it or not, we actually continue to look for similar types of experiences so that hopefully, if this time maybe we can have a different result, we can heal ourselves. But that's not the way, and it won't work. Instead, what happens is we stay miserable in this one area of our lives, whatever it is. It'll be different for all of us, and we continue to hold ourselves back. Friends will sometimes ask me, why am I stuck? What am I afraid of? Why can't I move? Why can't I get out of this job, this relationship? Why can't I lose weight? Exactly. You're onto something. You got it. It's the why. First, you have to figure out the why. And you might have to dig pretty deep, and it might very well be the most painful thing you've ever done in your life. However, the alternative is to stay miserable or unhappy in this whichever area of your life for another 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. You don't have to do that. You can make a choice. So how do we fix it? What is the solution? First, we have to dig deep, find out the why it is that we're committing to this pattern that's holding us back and keeping us unhappy in whichever area of our lives. Then research. There's lots of information out there, and so you can find what works for you. I recommend, again, researching cognitive reframing, neuroplasticity, and staying present. Let's talk about staying present for a moment. If you're feeling discontent at any time in your life, unless you are in that present moment fighting for your life, everything is pretty much okay. And if it's not, you're likely either regretful of the past or worried about the future. It's totally okay to feel sad or angry and feel your emotions. I don't mean to say to ignore that if that's what's happening. Let it come up. However, it's also imperative to get yourself feeling at least a little bit happier by bringing yourself back to the present moment as quickly as you can, because I talk about this in other videos. We attract more of what we feel like. The key is to first figure out the why. Then you can figure out the how, which leads to changes, which leads to greater happiness. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out, message me. I'm Amy Lee Miller. Yes, you can.